One of my main goals in these tutorials will be to help you really understand how Symfony works. To start with that, let's take a quick look at the directory structure. There are only 3 directories you need to think about. First, public is the document root, so it will hold all files that need to be accessible by a browser. And there's only one right now, index.php. This is called the front controller, a fancy word that programmers invented to mean that this is the file that's executed by your web server. But really, other than putting CSS or image files into public, you'll almost never need to think about it. So I kinda lied. There are truly only 2 directories that you need to think about, config and source. Config holds, puppies? No, config holds config files, and source is where all your PHP code will go. It's just that simple. Where is Symfony? Our project started with a composer.json file, which lists all the third-party libraries that our app requires. Behind the scenes, that Symfony new command used Composer to install these, which is a fancy way of saying that Composer downloaded a bunch of libraries into the vendor directory, including Symfony itself. We'll talk more about the other files and directories along the way, but they're not important yet. A few minutes ago, we used PHP itself to start a local web server. Cool. But hit Ctrl-C to quit that. Why? Because that handy Symfony binary tool we installed comes with a more powerful local server. Run Symfony serve. That's it. The first time you run this, it may ask you about installing a certificate. That's optional. If you do install it, I did, it will start the web server with HTTPS. Yep, you get HTTPS locally with 0 config. Once it's running, move over to your browser and refresh. It works! And the little lock icon proves that we're now using HTTPS. To stop the web server, just hit Ctrl-C. You can see all of this command's options by running Symfony serve --help, like ways to control the port number. When I use this command, I usually run Symfony serve -d. The -d means to run as a daemon. It does the exact same thing, except that now it runs in the background, which means I can still use this terminal. Running Symfony server :status shows me that the server is running, and Symfony server :stop will stop it. Let's start it again. Okay, we're about to start doing a lot of coding, so I want to make sure your editor is ready to go. And yeah, you can use whatever editor you want, but I highly recommend PHP Storm. Seriously, it makes developing in Symfony a dream. And no, the nice people at PHP Storm aren't paying me to say this, though they do actually sponsor several open source PHP developers, which is kinda better. To really make PHP Storm awesome, you need to do 2 things. First, open the Preferences, select Plugins, and click Marketplace. Search for Symfony. This plugin is amazing, proven by the nearly 4 million downloads. This will give us all kinds of extra autocompletion and intelligence for Symfony. If you don't have it already, install it. You should also install the PHP Annotations and PHP Toolbox plugins. If you search for PHP Toolbox, you can see all 3 of them. Install them and restart PHP Storm. Once you've restarted, go back to Preferences and search for Symfony. In addition to installing the plugin, you also need to enable it on a project-by-project basis. Check Enable and then Apply. It says you need to restart PHP Storm, but I don't think that's true. The second thing you need to do in PhpStorm is to search for Composer and find the Languages and Frameworks PHP Composer section. Make sure the Synchronize IDE settings with composer.json box is checked, which automatically configures several useful things. Hit OK, and we are ready. Let's create our very first page and see what Symfony is all about next.